Good evening. It's Dr. Dina Churchill, Innovator in Health and Wellness. And tonight I'd like to take you on a gratitude journey with me to look at where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going. So what I'd like to do is move the camera down to my Facebook page and show you the highlights over the last week. We'll look at what's happening on a global level and then move it into kind of what we can do locally and what's happening here in Nova Scotia. Let me see if I can bring you down here to turn it around. Let's see, does this work? Yeah, okay, good. So here's my Facebook page, and we'll just scroll down here. Hi, Robert. Thanks for being here. Charlie, if you could not comment right now because I'm on a Facebook Live, then your comments won't come up. So nobody message me right now on Facebook until we finish this live. So this is a YouTube video that I did called If Bill Gates Were a Surfer. It's on YouTube. It's also on my Facebook channel. But basically, it was to promote our petition, which is to lift the lockdown. That the lockdown that we're currently under is really flattening the curve, but it's lengthening out the duration of the epidemic. Really the only way to get rid of this virus and get over this virus is natural immunity. So we need to lift the lockdown. We need to get back to work. And this is what our epidemiologists and our scientists are saying. And that petition sort of highlights what they're doing in Sweden and gives you some more information in that video. But the petition is right there, so I'd invite you to look at that. That's for Canada. So it's Open Up Canada, please, Justin Trudeau. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And then we go down this, I found this video today, this was really great, but it shows the picture of really what's happening. It's not just Mr. Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates, but it's a whole complex of different organizations that are involved in this corrupt activity. So I call it the circle of corruption. But, the vaccine manufacturers, the World Health Organization has a mandate in 1973 to use vaccines to help depopulate. So just like Mr. Gates that went on YouTube, actually on the TED Talks and said, he wanted to use vaccines to depopulate, it's the same mandate as the World Health Organization. So that's why this problem is so complicated, because it has so many different players. The vaccine manufacturers are in there, and we know that in 1986, Ronald Reagan passed a law to absolve vaccination companies of any liability of death or disease. So right now, it's the only industry that we know of that you can have an injury and not have any compensation for, because the vaccine companies have this liability blanket coverage. So that's why we have kind of a locked up paradigm, because all the doctors kind of work under the World Health Organization. A lot of the governments are under the World Health Organization. The World Bank controls the money, and of course billion-dollar Bill Gates computer guy is right at the top with UNICEF. And why are we allowing a computer guy, a computer geek, to dictate our health for our world? I mean, it's bananas. So anyway, this video is really good. Then if we scroll down back, Mike sent this to me today, but I posted it earlier too. This is a pastor who is on fire. His name is Danny Jones, and he's awesome. He really nails it and gives you all the big players and tells you just how it is. Of course, the other person that did that, way back in 1963, was John F. Kennedy, right? There's a plot in the country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. That was 7 days before his assassination. So on that post, I pray really for Pastor Jones' health. Because as you're exposing these dark agendas, there's a lot of billionaire people that won't be happy with you. But that's no reason not to speak. We need to really speak up and out loudly. They can't take us all out at once. And this is a post that Lynn had done today, so thank you for posting this, about Costco wanting to make it mandatory for these masks. So thank you, Lynn, for that, because we both went then on Costco's page and explained to them how masks are not a good idea, that the COVID-19 or this coronavirus is a cold, and it has to be injected or ingested. So it's not like TB where you cough on someone and they're going to get it. It has to be injected ingested or injected. So the whole idea of masks can actually be dangerous, especially if you have a virus or you have some sort of a lung issue. It can impede oxygen utilization. So, and it's a scare tactic. People jump out of the way in Costco when I go in there. They've got their masks and gloves on and everything. It's just crazy. It's scaring the population. Last week when I was there, I did a video in the parking lot. If you haven't seen it, you can go on my YouTube channel and look at it. But I was really mad because it was unreal. So anyway, Costco is really catering to this globalist agenda by continuing with these fear tactics. Ultimately is to sell you the vaccine. This is why they're playing this scam. And then there was this was yesterday, Adam Taylor had sent me this poem, The Concrete Marshmallow. This is brilliant, so you have to take a look at that. And then I just had the pleasure this week to be connected to this medical doctor, Imad, I know I'm not going to pronounce his name properly, but Gurgas, and he's a medical doctor, 2 different specialties. He's Canadian, he's in Ontario, and he did this brilliant YouTube video of COVID, explaining, let's see if I can get this up. He really explained how COVID is just, a little squiggle on the number of deaths in Canada right now. And that things like cancer and heart disease and accidents and the flu has 8,000 deaths, where COVID has like 2,200 deaths now. And we're not even sure if this is COVID. I mean, the medical doctors have been educated and encouraged to label many things as COVID. If they're not sure, the idea is to, are you talking about Gates? Oh, Marcus, while you're on Facebook Live right now. Don't email me, don't text me right now while we're doing live, but come here and I'll talk. And so I just really have great respect for this doctor in Ontario, Canada, who's really helped us understand that COVID-19 lockdown has benefits and risks, and that the risk to our health, our mental health, the risk to our economy, the risk to our social, our health, because that's important for our immune system, to be able to communicate and to be able to connect with our loved ones and to feel purposeful in our existence by working. Those are detriments, and they're risks that really our government officials aren't taking into consideration. And I just want to show you this quick clip if I can find it. So this was great. So you can share, please share his video. This is, again, he's a medical doctor, so he won't be listed as a crackpot like I am. He has many specialties, and he's a great guy. So here, this Teresa Tam YouTube video, I'm going to just let you listen to this for a moment. So Dr. Teresa Tam is the chief medical officer of Canada, and this is what she says about COVID-19.
If there are people who are non-compliant, there are definitely laws and public health powers that can quarantine people in mandatory settings. It's potential you could track people, put bracelets on their arms, have police and other setups to ensure quarantine is undertaken. It is better to be preemptive and precautionary and take the heat of people thinking you might be overreactionary, get ahead of the curve, and then think about whether you've overreacted later. But it's such a serious situation that...
Act first, think later is basically Dr. Tam's philosophy there. So after I watched that video, I was motivated, and thank you to Charlene Blake, who sent me Dr. Teresa Tam's email address. I was really inspired, passionately inspired to send her a letter. And I'll just read it out to you here, but it's, if anyone wants to copy it, change the words slightly, add your name and send it to her, feel free. It's on Facebook, it's public, and I also took a picture of the copy of the email that I sent to her. So again, this is part of what's important in being an activist, is being able to have our leaders be accountable for what they say. So, and educate them, in case they haven't heard. So I sent it to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Tam. I was shocked to have viewed this video of your militant ideas of locking people into their homes, forcing a vaccine, and tracking them under the guise of public health. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, 1982, a part of Canada's Constitution. The Charter protects every Canadian's rights to be treated equally under the law, guarantees broad equality, rights and freedoms, fundamental freedoms such as freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion. You're walking on sacred territory to deny our basic rights and freedoms. It's criminal to demand a product be injected without proper safety studies to know if it's even safe or effective. I have enclosed the email I sent to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Nova Scotia MLAs April 10th that discusses the World Health Organization references the globalist agenda within these vaccine mandates. I would invite you to take a look at what a reasonable Canadian medical doctor would recommend in the short video below. So I sent her video where she's saying, lock everybody down, give them the vaccine, put them in shackles. And again, Dr. Ahmad, who has a very reasonable, rational approach, which I'd love you to have a look at. And I'm very thankful for him for speaking out, because many doctors are afraid to speak out, just like politicians. Not only for their livelihood. My license was suspended, my chiropractic license, because I was speaking out personally about vaccines. So some of these doctors not only are afraid for their livelihood, but they're afraid for their life. So when someone comes forward and starts speaking truth to you, reward them. Tell them you appreciate them, because this is how we get more and more doctors to speak out. We have to reward those that are speaking out and up for our humanity. And it puts the others then who are hiding, whether it's in fear or in ignorance, but they're hiding, to shame. This was another post that I did about Donald Trump. So this is what's happening on a global level. There's many that are fooled by President Trump, and his crude and rude demeanor, but really he has done some great accomplishments in working against the corrupt global elite network. And I'm just praying for his long, healthy life to continue with his global service. But just some of the highlights here, he took back control of the Federal Reserve, which, if you're not sure about this, you can know that this Federal Reserve was set up in the early 1900s, 1913, I think, or 1912, and it was set up by global elitists. So it privatized our banking. This was a group of corrupt individuals that start lending money at high interest rates to our bank. So when Obama borrowed, $1 trillion or $2 trillion for the United States, yes, he did. It was making the banks money, right? Because now they have to pay back interest on that $1 trillion or whatever it was. So this Federal Reserve had every government, had our world, in a chokehold, because they were the ones that were printing the money and then renting it to us or lending it to us at high interest rates. So thank you, Donald Trump, President Trump, for taking back control of this Federal Reserve. And then, he's also removed funding to the World Health Organization. And if you remember that global corrupt circle, you can see that the World Health Organization's in that. So I wish Prime Minister Trudeau would have stronger testicles and he could stop sending our Canadian dollars to corrupt organizations too. That would be brilliant. But balancing the economy, so this corona, virus and this crash really is bankrupting those old rich guys controlling the pollution energies of oil and gas. And they're not too happy about the price of gas and oil dropping to less than $1 a barrel. But now there's opportunity in that, which I'll talk about in just a minute. And again, we've created this alliance of 19 different allied forces. Hi, John Spirit. I'll speak to you in just a second. I'm on a live video right now. To make the Light Worker Alliance, President Trump talked about cleaning out the swamp, and this is what's happening with our pedophile elite and the sex trafficked celebrities. You'll see a lot coming out right now about this, and if you scroll down my page a little further, you'll see some reports of that. Kids being rescued from tunnels and elitist being put under house arrest. But, I'm thinking maybe President Trump and his son could do a duet and, sing maybe the American anthem in the next Super Bowl halftime show instead of putting kids on stages and in cages and calling it entertainment. And then I love that Dr. Trump, that he is kind of a doctor. He's a doctor to our humanity. But President Trump calls out the media, right? CNN is lies, and it's a great example of that. I mean, they had us all believing that 9/11 was an attack from another country, like a terrorist attack, and it was all internal. And they really create quite a show for us. The latest thing that you will have experienced, maybe, is the old toilet paper mind control trick, for a respiratory virus. So toilet paper was cleared out of all the, supermarkets and Costco. And this is a respiratory virus. Why would they not recommend tissues or cough drops or vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A? Those things really help with any virus. So, but they recommended toilet tissue. Why? Because they wanted to see how many were plugged in to this programming, right? How many were plugged in? Because they needed that programming. They needed you to be following the media in order for their scandemic to work. It was a crucial requirement, right? Was to have everybody sort of signed up for that. Just looking. Thanks, Leslie, Draining the Swamp one by one. Andrew Mader has sent a YouTube video there. Mike, Francine, good. Thank you for watching, everyone. Kim. So let's keep going down here. Okay, this is my favorite one of the week. This is the post of the week. I got to put you right in front of here. Here we go. We have Greta Thunberg launching a campaign to fight the coronavirus. Okay, so that's pretty amazing. God love little Greta, right? Because she's working for the scams of the cabal. First the climate change to support the chemtrails and the chemicals that Bill Gates is pumping into the sky, part of his experiments, right, are wanting to block the sun. You can Google this, or DuckDuckGo, it actually is a better search engine. And now the scam of Corona is really to promote the vaccine. So she's working for the cabal, and her some of her coaches, at the very top would be George Soros and also Bill Gates. So I said, next thing, she'll be sitting on the lap posing for a picture. And apparently, some of these people that I've just mentioned were on the travel log of Jeffrey Epstein, who again was indicted for sex trafficking and child sex businesses right before he was suicided. And so, all these billion-dollar businesses and billion-dollar people kind of hang in the same circles. And they're not only have child sex slave businesses and human trafficking, but they have like experiments, like cloning experiments and all sorts of wild and crazy things. So on the post, there were a lot of people kind of like, coming down on poor little Greta, but she's really just a product, right, of that whole system. She could be part of the MSK mind-controlled experiments. I mean, we don't know. She could be, into sex trafficked or sex slaved. She's a child, right? What is a child doing promoting the vaccine? It's because she's the only honest faced preps they have left to promote their stuff. Anyway, I look at it, I think it was funny. I didn't think it was, I look at it as funny because it shows that their ship is sinking, and now they had to kind of collect little Greta to come on board to try to save their old pharmaceutical ship. There's the pastor again, Danny Jones. Again, he really cuts it deep. He's got all the information there, so go and have a look at that. And then, of course, one of my favorite shows of the week is The High Wire with Adele Bigtree. And they're doing a lot globally. I was really honored to have Del sort of feature my story after I had to surrender my chiropractic license for speaking about the dangers of vaccines. So I was really grateful to be there and got to see kind of what was happening on the inside. And they're just a straight up, great foundation. They're a good show. They're great to deal with. McKenna and Dell and the whole staff there. They're just awesome. And every week they bring you the news like it's happening. So it's the news that you're not getting on mainstream. And iCandecide.org is the website. Highly recommended. Again, the money that you're putting or you might donate to this show, you can watch it for free. You don't have to donate. But any monies that you donate are going to help kind of this global cause. You can see that circle of corruption has a lot of money, and we're the other side. These are people that are working for you. So join the website, even if you don't want to donate, the ICanDecide.org. At least there it is. You'll get a newsletter every week, so you can be kept up to speed on what's happening. So I Can with Del Bigstreet. The other website that I really love, who are doing litigation for us on a global level, is Children's Health Defense with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So at childrenshealthdefense.com, I think it is. But Children's Health Defense, if you can sign up to those newsletters, because Facebook and these social medias like YouTube are screening us, they're censoring us, they're taking videos down, they're taking information away. Right now there's websites and support groups that I can't even get into if I type it into the search bar. So make sure you're on the websites to these guys. Larry Cook also is a great guy who has like 2 million people who are educated about vaccines and informed choice, and they have a Facebook page, but they also have a website that I can't remember right now, patriot.com, I think. Larry, sorry. But these are good news channels. The other thing is Erin at Health Nut News. I love Erin. Again, she presents it, tells it like it is. Robert Scott Bell. So these people will bring you, the news, the real news, the truth. And this was another event. This is a YouTube video. Again, highly recommended. Event 202. So for those of you who don't know, Event 201 was actually a trial run. Let's say a plan of what would happen if they let loose a bioweapon virus on the planet. So this was Event 201 that was done in October 2019 to kind of trial run how they would run this scamdemic of corona. So these people are awesome. They've got the greatest minds, not only talking about corona virus and that scam, but they talk about the 5G, they talk about the chemtrails, the sex trafficking, the dark rituals, satanic rituals, and the people involved, predictive programming, how our TVs and our programs and video games are set up to kind of, help move us in the right direction, as well as the COVID pandemic. So this was all in one. There's a lot of great speakers. I can't remember how many, but it was an awesome show. So that's on YouTube, Event 202. Have a look at it. And then this was funny. Okay, I'm going to give you a close-up of this one, right? Clorox, Trump recommended. Don't die, maybe. So I just posted that, and I didn't even have a heading. And my friend Howard said, Dina, you have to comment something on that, because some people are taking this seriously. Some people will go out and will drink Clorox because they thought that's what President Trump said. And my first thought was, well, maybe that's the process of natural selection, the old Darwinian principle. But anyway, I decided then I would go ahead and do a little post on that. So informed consent means you ask questions. You do your own research on any ingredients ingested in you or your family, and you choose the course of action. So these are a lot of questions I get. What about if they make it mandatory? They can put restrictions on you, like you can't travel, you can't go to school, a public school. They can put restrictions on you, but they can't hold you down yet anyway. If Dr. Teresa Tam has her way, maybe they'll put us in handcuffs. But right now, they can't hold you down. You have the ability to ask, right? What's in this? What's in this injection? And what are the side effects? How will this affect me and my family? And are there any safety studies? You can ask those questions. And as a regulated healthcare provider, we have to give you what the side effects are, and we have to give you options looking at your individual case, and then we have to honor your decision. So you are in control here. The bottom line, the moral of the story is don't eat Clorox or inject glyphosate or formaldehyde or any of those other things, because they are all poisons. Amen. Okay, what else do we have here? This is this is what? David Wilcox, slides from David Wilcox Ascension 2020 program that I've been studying. So David, I've learned a lot from, and his Ascension course 2020. So I'll just read to you what the post was. This was April 29th. What if you can change the world around you just by thinking about it? I mean, science says you can. The foundation of the universe is actually a photon of light that condenses into different densities. So when you return to that vibration of love and grace, it clears the slate for you to create. So the black and white photo are actually sand particles, and you can see how these particles change shape with different vibrations. Now, just to piggyback that, you probably already know about Dr. Emoto's experiments, right? Where he has water molecules, and under electron microscope has the water molecule that looks like this, but then he prays over it, and you can see that the molecular structure changes with the vibration of your intention. How cool is that, right? That the power of our thoughts and our intention can change the molecular structure. And so again, I do a little post about that just to show you that, what you say, your words and actions, and what you think about right now is really important at affecting kind of our health destiny. Thank you to Fernandez for posting. I just want to thank all my friends on Facebook who have been so gracious in sharing information in videos and sending me links. Sometimes I don't get back to you right away. One of the videos I did, the Costco one, I think I had like 2,000 comments. So I commented for the first 600, and then I thought, okay, I've got to get on with a life or I'll spend my whole day here on Facebook. So if I don't comment right away, it's not that I don't appreciate you. It's just that I kind of have kind of a program to get through, and I'm just looking at how I can make the most efficient and effective use of my time. But I do appreciate you. And we're a team. This is what I love about it. It's, I'm showing the videos and talking about it, but all this information comes from you. So thank you. So Fernandez posted this and shows, all the ingredients in a flu shot. The research shows too, you're more likely to have things like, 5 consecutive flu shots increases your risk of Alzheimer's, for example, 10 times. So that's one. But it also increases your risk of other viruses because it has things in it, right? So you can ask for this. Each vaccine has what they call a product insert or a monograph. In the box of the vaccine, you can see all the ingredients. So as I mentioned in some other videos, we look at the ingredients of our cereal. Why don't we look at the ingredients of something that's going to be injected directly into our bloodstream? So not only do we have, embryonic tissue and fetal cells that can divide and multiply and cause cancers, we also have DNA from other things like pigs and monkeys and mouse. Dr. Judy Merkovitz talks a lot about that, retroviruses and things like chronic disease, as chronic fatigue syndrome and AIDS can be caused from these retroviruses that are pumped into our body. And and then we have other things, aluminum, like we don't eat from aluminum pots because we understand the dangers of aluminum to our brain, but still we're injecting it in a shot. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Formaldehyde, embalming fluid, and the list goes on. So you can have a read over that. And again, friends post great information on the page. So again, I'm really grateful. This is another friend, David and Kim Martin. They're married. But David has put together this video, amazing, where he's investigating. His job is investigating social issues on a global level to help with legal action. So he's called out some of the biggest players. This video is just, it's really amazing. So you have to look at this David Martin's video. It's on Facebook. And on my page if you want to have a look. But he's seriously reporting criminal activity and allegations for some of these big companies, that corrupt cabal, that circle of corruption that I showed you when I first started the video. And he's sending this to U.S. attorneys, to the Attorney General, like he's on fire. So again, give support to people like this who are working in your best interest. So thank you for that, David. And this is another guy, Dr. Boutard. I just love this guy. And I also really appreciate Brian Rose, because Brian Rose was denied a platform when he started interviewing these guys who were telling the truth about vaccines and about this corruption. But he's really moved now from I guess, the platform he was using to kind of a new truth platform. So thank you, Brian Rose. He's had some great people on his show, London Real. I love it. Dr. Buttar is, he's just a medical doctor who's had military background experience. So he puts this whole scenario, not only from a medical perspective and how crazy these lockdowns are, but he puts it into a political perspective and agenda. So London Real, Dr. Buttar is great. And, Dr. Judy Mirkovits, Mikovits, is someone to follow. I mentioned Del Bigtree. I also mentioned Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We need to all be supporting each other in this movement. So I'm really grateful for these people who are speaking out. Give them your support. Anyone who tries to create issues or resistance within our movement likely is not on our team. And Dr. Shiva has really been creating some resistance, let's say, and not playing nice in the sandbox. So I'm not promoting him now. And Health Freedom Summit, this was last week. This was great. These three are MD specialists, and Dr. Andrew Wakefield, which you probably know, Susanna Humphreys, and who was this last guy? Oh, I think I quoted down here. His name will come to me in just a second. But this was an amazing, and you can still click on this link, and you can have access to these speakers, I do believe. My Facebook page has reached a friend limit, but I'm always losing friends. So if you really want to be a friend, just send me a message. And if you want to be contributing and being part of the movement and you're an activist and want to be moving forward, I promise I'll make room for you. But healthtruth.blog is somewhere else you can reach me. And also I have another page that was closed down from Facebook for a while, but is Dina Churchill Innovator, Dr. Dina Innovator Women Health and Wellness. So you can reach me there. You're the pilot, right? Gratitude for where you are provides the potential energy to design where you'd love to be next. This is what we're doing. We're going back and we're looking at what we've accomplished. And we're appreciating and being grateful for the people that are speaking for us. Because ultimately, that's the foundation from which we can move forward. Again, thank you, Carol, for for sending that video. This was a farmer from Texas who talks about how the economy is affected with this lockdown, but how also it's affecting our food supply. So thank you, Shad Sullivan, for that message about mental health, because this is important, right? You've seen from that video earlier, there's 3,500 deaths from suicide, and this whole corona scam scare thing is not making it any easier for people. So you can read that if you'd like. And then we have a few other videos. There's the picture of Judy Mirkovits. Again, thank you, Lynn, for posting that. But she is a researcher. She was a researcher with the CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, who, in fact, now are a vaccine company. So here's the vaccine company who are selling billions of dollars worth of vaccine a year, giving you recommendations on safety. Well, naturally, they're going to say they're safe because they have $4 billion worth of vaccines on the shelf. But you need to ask to see the safety studies. Don't just, take somebody's word that they're safe. And what they do, they compare vaccines to one another, but they don't compare the vaccines to a control group, to a saline group, or what they call a placebo group that doesn't get anything. So Dr. Judy Mirkovits is somebody to follow. Okay, we're almost done here. Just want to mention the 5G. 5G technology is a military system weapon wave used for crowd control and surveillance. So this is dangerous. This is something else they're trying to roll out. So if you want to support this, you can go and look at that on my page, and there's some support groups and ways that you can be an activist by connecting with your member of parliament, for example, and giving your unease about this and asking for safety studies. And I'm just going to scroll down because, there's my dog Major who had a birthday. Scroll down to where I did, again, keep your focus, on light things. Our caring and sharing is working. Take a break from it for a while if it gets too heavy, but then come back. We all have a purpose. We all have a humanitarian service if we're going to have our world survive and thrive. Vaccine Choice Canada, again, great website. This is our national voice. So right now, when they're trying to mandate vaccines in different places, we have one united voice with Vaccine Choice Canada. If you're not on their list, thank you, Kim. Dr. John Bergman is amazing. Yes, if you have a link for him, you could post it. He's a chiropractor and he does great. He's a truther. He's speaking truth from his heart. And I love that. He's inspiring all of us other chiropractors to start speaking out for what we know is health, removing the obstacles, right, to health, so we can have innate healing of our bodies. But Vaccine Choice Canada, you really need to be on that newsletter because they're sending out information to you that you may not be able to get any other way. Like I said, if I type in right now Vaccine Choice Canada into this bar up here, which I won't do right now, but if you type it in, you can't get into Vaccine Choice Canada. What comes up is the World Health Organization and the CDC. So you can't find Vaccine Choice Canada on Facebook unless you're a member. So this is the kind of censorship that's happening. So again, the I Can Decide, the Children's Health Defense, Vaccine Choice Canada, Larry Cook, Aaron at HealthNet News, Robert Scott Bell, you need to get on their email list so you can keep connected regardless of the censorship. My Dr. Dina Churchill page was closed down for months. I couldn't get access to it. So I've been doing all my work here now from my professional page. So censorship is real. And Canada, our home and native land. So this happened in 2017 where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a $20 million gift to the Clinton Foundation. So that's a little disturbing considering the Clintons were being investigated, for crimes. And Allison Mack came forward accusing them of being part of the child sex slave and trafficking business. So why Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would contribute to that is a little odd, let's say. You may find some answers in a series called The Fall of the Cabal. I'm going to see if I have, somebody's probably posted it here on this link. But The Fall of the Cabal is a great 10-part series, and you'll see a little excerpt in that. I think it's episode 5 that talks about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and how he may be connected to all that. We have on that same link some wiki files that are downloaded information, massive downloads. So that is quite a show if you want to look at that page and look at the links on that page. Hi, George, I'll be with you shortly. And again, some other videos. But this is really what I want to show you. This is the last thing here. So I called Rogers because we're having this 5G rollout in Canada right now. It's supposed to be finished by the year 2020. Again, military system weapons wave, used for crowd control, used for surveillance. It can split the double helix of your DNA. We know that cell towers put up in the Netherlands had 290 birds fall out of the sky when it happened. We know that cancers are more prevalent in areas where there's cell towers. Now they're wanting to put a cell tower every 500 feet outside of your home, probably connected to a light pole, LED light pole. It'll communicate with the smart meter that they've upgraded to your home, and will send these military waves into your house. So in essence, your house can act like a microwave, really. And again, I've written about that. If you want to look at my blog, healthtruth.blog, and in the search bar, if you just type in 5G, nature versus technology, you'll see an article and references. But you can go on Facebook. So again, even though you may not be able to be a friend, you can still follow. And all my posts I try to make public so you can follow it. But this is a conversation, a 45-minute conversation that's broken up actually into 2 because the battery of my phone, the battery went dead and I had to kind of recharge it, but broken into 2 places. But I spent 45 minutes on the phone at Rogers just asking them for some safety studies for this technology that they're rolling out. And they confirm that they don't have safety studies, they don't have a scientist, they don't have doctors. Apparently it's been approved by the World Health Organization and Health Canada. But you see from that circle of corruption, they have an agenda. which is to depopulate the planet. I know that sounds extreme, but if you don't believe me, you can type in Agenda 2030 or Agenda 21 and you can research it for yourself. But what happened, so I mentioned about 1986, they created a law or an act to protect vaccine companies against any liability of death, injury, or disease. But in 1996, they passed the Telecom Act, which was an act to protect cellular companies from any liability. So, these big companies, they're all looking after each other in that little circle of corruption. So we have to kind of break into it. So again, I was on the phone 45 minutes with Rogers, put me through a lot of different hoops. Finally, they agreed to have the president's office call me, maybe just to get me off the phone because they didn't call. So that's when I started to, reach out to my friend group and to look at some kind of mass action, some kind of mass action that we could do either legally or just educating our MLAs and our MPs about the 5G technology. That was a video I did on essential oils, because essential plant oils really helps heal us and helps heal the planet. And this is the last thing. This was another petition that was put about by a mother of a vaccine-injured child in Newfoundland named Charlene Blake to, protest, I guess, and to petition against mandatory vaccination. So whether you believe vaccines are helpful or not is irrelevant. Our ability to choose is part of maintaining our health freedom, or else we're going to be put in chains like Dr. Tam wants us to be locked up and put away and have the powers that be, keep us in our homes. So we need to stand up and we need to protest this. So that's important. So let's go back. Let's see if I can come back to me here. Yeah, okay, good. So thank you for still watching. Any questions before we go on? John, just like the vaccines. Simone, can you get us a copy of this letter? Which letter, Simone? If you can send me a link or send me a message. All the letters that I send, I try to take pictures of it and I try to post it on Facebook. Again, because it keeps everybody accountable, right? So yes, I'm happy to share. And if you want to use my words and just change it up, and you can send it off to your MP. Thank you, Amanda, for watching. Francine, but change.org gives to identify registers. I'm not sure about that. Francine, I'll have to talk to you about that. So what I want to talk to you about really is now there's a movement called thrivemovement.com. And this is a global movement. So they have a movie, Thrive, What on Earth Will It Take, it's called. And some of these ideas and suggestions I've sort of taken from that movie, but it's a great movie, thrivemovement.com, and the movie's called Thrive, What on Earth Will It Take? So they talk about how we can peacefully and productively affect, real change. Because this is where we are right now. We've seen where we've came from. We see what the plan is. We see what the scam is. Now we need to use that and be able to bring it to kind of a different level of inspired action. So the first thing is really to get informed. So these are some tips for what we're going to do, how we're going to take our gratitude and we're going to move forward. One is to be informed. And then once you're informed, speak up, right? Once you're informed, speak up. Because I think it was Einstein, I had a quote somewhere that says, it's not the evil that, it's not doing evil that causes the issues, I'm paraphrasing, but it's the people that know about the evil and just sit by and do nothing. This is what's going to corrupt and destroy our world. So first you have to learn it, because ignorance really can be blissful in a way, but on the short term, but in the long term, it's deadly. So educate yourself, and I've given you some resources. You can scan through my page, pick up any resources that you want. If you have any questions, I've had mothers email me and say, look, I'm wanting to email my MLA about autism. Can you send me the links? And I'm happy to copy what I have and send. We're working as a team, and that's where we're powerful. And then you have to speak up and connect with others. So find groups. So your local group. We have a local group here called Informed Consent Nova Scotia. And if you can't find it on Facebook, because you may not now with censorship, connect with me and I can give you kind of the links to that group. But also connecting to the bigger groups. Some of them I've already mentioned, Children's Health Defense, Highwire, I Can Decide. Also, we have Susan Stanfield Spooner, who's an activist in BC, has started a no lockdown page, Facebook page, and she's doing great work there. She's an international activist, and she's really working for the cause. So, we're following you, Susan. We're seeing what works and what you're doing there and your protests that you're having on a weekly basis out in BC, and we're going to plan the same for Nova Scotia. I just need someone to help me, someone to come stand with me. And if we can do that in every province, again, Susan's been doing this for years. She's written books. She's, again, an international activist. She's done this many times. So, Susan, when you get your plan in place, you can share it with all the provinces. So if you have your group together, you already have your people, you can just post and you can connect with people. And our group, you may not be able to reach because of the censorship. So I've started a kind of an email list, and Shannon Mosier in that group has kind of a WhatsApp group. So if Facebook suddenly disappears, which it may, you have resources and you're able to connect with your tribe, because we need to keep connected and again, strengthen numbers. Bank locally, credit unions, again, help diffuse this problem. Remember I talked about the World Bank and world finances? We got to bring our money back into our own local economy. So our credit unions and local banks are a great, let's say, individual, active, informed, inspired action. And then buy and invest responsibly. Same principle, where you're putting your money, you are speaking with your dollars. So Tammy Canal, who was a young stay-at-home mother who started, this is such an inspiring story. This stay-at-home mom, kids were getting sick. She realized that it was the glyphosate, which, yes, is a herbicide, but it was first patented as an antibiotic. So it wipes out all your natural bacteria in your digestive system, which is part of your immune system, and then you start to get sick. So she understood that the food intolerances and the gluten sensitivities and her kids getting sick were a part of the food she was feeding them. So she started this movement against Monsanto, who's, doing the genetic modification and spraying all these chemicals on our food. And now she has millions of people in March Against Monsanto. You can type it in, great Facebook group, March Against Monsanto. But just an amazing woman. And she says, we vote with our wallet. So if we're paying for shitty food, that's what they're going to feed us. If you're demanding, and I go up to my grocer and I say, hey, I don't have that non-fluoride toothpaste. Can you get this in? We don't have any organic apples. Why is the organic section spread out? I love to see at Sobeys, and I mentioned this to the manager there, I love to see all the organic section in one, because I don't want to have to fish through all the crappy foods and the genetically modified food. I just like all the organic food in one section. You have to speak up and vote with your wallet, because ultimately it's our demand that creates the supply, right? We have the power in where we're putting our dollars. So into local, non-genetically modified, organic foods, local farming. Join the movement. And again, internet fairness and media fairness. If there's a way that you could join a coalition to help keep our media and our internet fair. So you might know this, but celebration of our freedoms and rights. I'm just going to take a break. Thanks, Tara Lynn, Arlene. Thanks. Yes, I'd love to chat. Deb, Kim, John, Clean Diet. Yay, 3.5 years. Francine, thank you. But keeping the internet fair. So Google was actually bought out by a pharmaceutical company last year. I don't know if you know that. So all the references that I used to find on Google on vaccines, I couldn't find anymore. I had to go to a different search engine called DuckDuckGo in order to find the real truth. So Google was actually being censored. Now it's different. So I think the light force may have taken back Google, because now if I Google adrenochrome, for example, or Hillary Clinton and adrenochrome, I get all sorts of references coming up. So I think it's been taken over by the swamp cleaners. But we have to keep accountable, right, to our media. And that is kind of on a global level, but even our provincial and our local medias. So, for example, Dr. Robert Strang, who is the Chief Medical Officer here in Nova Scotia, goes into, I think it was Global, but I could be wrong, Global News, and says, vaccines do not cause autism. Well, there's no research, is what he said. No research to support that vaccines are associated or cause autism. Well, that's a lie. because I have 157 studies that show there is a strong correlation, not just from the vaccines, but genetically modified foods, the glyphosate. I mean, poisons and heavy metals create, store in our brains and cause all sorts of things, not only neurodegenerative disorders like autism, Alzheimer's, but also cause neurosocial disorders like autism. So what I did was wrote a letter, not only to Global News, who published it, but also to Dr. Robert Strang, and I went ahead and published it on Facebook, because we have to keep them accountable and transparent. Otherwise, their lies filter out into our masses. So this is something that you can do. If you see something that's not true, then you have to, again, show your truth and, again, keep them accountable. So looking at your local media and really helping to educate them onto a different level of truth. And I've mentioned in other videos that our media from 100 years ago were bought out by these let's say governing old boys club to be the mouthpiece. So a lot of our CBC, for example, gets large donations from our government. So this was told to me by two CBC reporters. I won't mention their names, but I wanted to publish a study. It was about all the holistic health doctors, publish an article about all the holistic health doctors that were getting killed. Apparently suicided, but 2 bullets to the head doesn't really qualify as suicide. But I had all this research put together, and I want to publish a story. And I was told that they would not publish the story, CBC. Now, it could have been wrong, but I was told they would not publish a story unless it was approved by Snopes. Now, Snopes is a husband and wife team on the Monsanto payroll. So if our Canadian Broadcasting Company, if our whole CBC won't publish a story unless it's been approved by Monsanto, what does that tell you? Right? Is that they're controlled in what they can say. So we, again, have to kind of keep them accountable, I think is where I was going with that. It's up to you. It's up to us as individuals. So that's something that we can do on a local level. Again, supporting our non-genetically modified organic farming. There's community shared farming that happens here, where you can buy into a community shared farm, and then they give you kind of a box of food every week. You can look at growing your own organic foods, greenhouses, which is what I was doing after I seen that video of the food supply shortage and couldn't find my organic foods in the market. So growing your own foods, supporting local is really important. Advocacy, to advocate for renewable energy. So what's happening now, as you've seen earlier, right, is these big oil companies are being bankrupt. So as the gas prices are going down, you can see the Saudis and Putin and Donald Trump. I mean, this alliance of 11 of the United Nations countries are pushing these bigger gas and oil companies out of business, right? $1 a barrel for oil and gas. So what we're going to be looking for is new energy, renewable energy resources. So if you happen to be a billionaire and you're watching this video and you're wanting to look for a place to invest now that the oil and gas industry has gone belly up, you can look at the green powerhouses. So if you go on YouTube and you research green powerhouses, amazing. This is like a big greenhouse. It's like an aquaculture where it can provide free fuel and free energy. It helps, you can grow organic food. It helps fertilize the soil. You can regain fresh water from this cycle, from this green powerhouse. It helps clean the air. So really it's our solution to our food and our water and our soil and our free energy in this green powerhouse. So this is what we need to be promoting. You got to know about it, right? And then you have to share it with your billionaire friends. Maybe you can mention it to Mr. Gates. I mean, he might want to put his money into something that's going to, help save the planet and are healthy for people instead of depopulation. But, and the last thing is really to sign up for mass action. Together we're stronger. Your local groups. Look for who your local group support is. And if you need help with that, I have connections to, if you look up informed consent, so we have an informed consent Nova Scotia, informed consent New Brunswick, informed consent Manitoba, informed consent Alberta. In BC, it's something different. In Ontario, it's Rise Up, I think. Rise Up. I think it's just Rise Up, maybe. But anyway, I have connections to these groups. So if you're some part of Canada right now and you want to be connected to a group and you don't know where to find them, connect with me. And I can give you a resource or a person that you connect with, because it feels lonely, right? If you feel like you're out there and you're by yourself. And we as Canadians have been taught to be too bloody nice, right? We're too nice. I mean, the Americans are down waving their flags. Billy D in California had this big protest in California, the week after they were out of their lockdown, after all the, hundreds of people came out into the street waving their American flags. Where are we in Canada? We're hiding, in our house. We need to get out there, except for Susan Stanfield-Spooner out in BC, who's out there, protesting. But we need to kind of get out of ourselves. We have to realize that this is bigger than you or I. I talked with a mother in New Brunswick, and she was really concerned because New Brunswick is voting May 5th on this law to whether or not to make vaccines mandatory for schools. And I think it's Bill 11 now that actually conflicts with our Canadian Constitution, but she's really upset about it. Had this beautiful little baby, and she said, I really want to speak out, but I've just got to the point where I don't care what my friends or my family are going to think. She said, I need to speak my truth. That chokes me up because that inspires me, right? This is not about you or me, right? This is much bigger. This is about our humanity. This is about taking back our power. This is really taking back our power from this circle of corruption that have led us through the last couple of 100 years. So we have to kind of get out of our own way here in Canada. Find our group, speak out, speak up, sign up for that mass action. So I've been inspired by a lady whose name is Kate Shermani, and she's in the UK. Right, I'm just going to see if I can take, if there's any questions. Yes, Bill 11, thanks Michelle. Glenn, we don't hide in New York. No, you were out there. That's great. People hate the truth. That's true, John. Jason says, girl, I love you. Oh, thanks, Jason. I love you too. And again, thanks all for listening and being here. If there's any questions, you can. I'll check again before we leave. But this lady, Kate Shermani, who does a lot of live videos out of the UK, she's a nurse, a holistic nurse, a practitioner, and she really speaks truth. But she finishes all her videos with the Lord's Prayer. Now, you may not be religious, and you may not even be Christian. You might have another religion. But I think I'll probably finish that way because it helps us move out of ourselves into a higher principle, into understanding that we're all connected, but from a higher dimension, right? There's a reason this is happening. And if you're fearful, you're in your own mind and in your own situation, you're not looking at a bigger picture. So maybe we'll finish with the Lord's Prayer. I just wanted to give you these few quotes. So this one's from Gandhi, and he says, civil disobedience becomes a sacred duty when the state becomes lawless or corrupt. I'll read that one again. Civil disobedience becomes a sacred duty when the state becomes lawless or corrupt. And this one's from Emanuel Swedenborg. He says, a moral life may be lived either to satisfy divine or to satisfy people in this world. A moral life is a life that's lived to satisfy. Divine is a spiritual life. So we have to make a decision. Are you going to speak or not speak because you're afraid of hurting someone's feelings or what they would think about you? Or are you going to speak up for truth that you know is much greater than you or I, but for our world, for our population, for our unborn kids who can't speak for themselves? That reminds me of another quote, Proverbs 31. Speaking up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute, speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and the needy. By speaking up, you're speaking up for the kids and the babies that can't speak up for themselves. You're speaking up for those who are too scared to speak or are too angry. And there will be people when you speak up that will be angry. I mentioned this to the mother from New Brunswick. I said, when you speak out your truth, half will like you and half won't. It's just the law. The people that are educated and have educated themselves out of that pharmaceutical paradigm will admire and respect you and salute you. The people who haven't, the people that are still believing in those old lies that they've been told for 100 years, they're scared because it shakes their paradigm of what normal is. And their fear turns into anger, and it's addressed to you, the messenger. So you have to be prepared for that, but realize where it's coming from. It's not a personal attack. It's their own fear that they're kind of putting out onto you. So speak your truth, whatever that is that allows you to kind of sleep at night. And I think that was all. Any questions? All one people. That's it. All one people. I love that, Scott. D. Scott. And Lena says absolutely. Simone, I know my family members did as well. And here it is. Replying to John. I don't know. I didn't see that. Arlene, Dina, you're in Nova Scotia. Yes, you need to meet Rhonda LeBlanc. Thank you for that, Arlene. And yeah, I am in Nova Scotia, but I did travel to New Brunswick, and we're kind of supporting our sister province. A bunch of us went there to the legislature and spoke to the legislator and protested on the street right in front of CBC. Francois organized that. Thank you, Francois and Tara Lynn. Catherine, Kim, chiropractors are real doctors. Chiropractors are doctors, and in chiropractic, we have a philosophy that the body has the ability to heal itself. It's what we call innate healing. Once you remove the obstacles, chiropractors talk about it in subluxations in your spine, but I like to kind of expand it to think subluxations in your environment. It's in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your injections, in the foods you're eating. So the idea of finding a holistic healer, I should mention about this. Thank you for that. If you have any other questions, this is great because it helps me know kind of what I've missed. Thanks, Kim. Get this question. I need to detox my body. Well, first you need to find out what you need to detox, right? Because there could be heavy metals. If you had vaccines, likely there's heavy metals that you need to detox. It could be parasites or bacteria, or it depends on what you're needing to detox, depends on the plan of management. And if it's heavy metals, you have to kind of do that slowly, because you can make yourself very sick if you detox too quickly. So I would suggest connecting with a holistic provider, a naturopath, a homeopath, a holistic chiropractor, a holistic medical doctor, and you can work through the program together. But if you've been poisoned, and many of us have, by vaccines, whether you know it or not, some of the neurodegenerative conditions, some of the cancers, simian virus 40, for example, were actually caused from some of the vaccines, the polio vaccine in particular, that were given in the 1950s and 60s. So you can detoxify your body and you can heal from it. So it's not a sentence. It's just an awareness, and then connecting with the right people, you can help with that healing process. That's something else you can do for you. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Artie. Remove obstacles, chemicals, heavy metals, active immune system challenges. Yes, active scars. And I have done 20 IV chelation. Thank you for that, John. Yes. So what they're saying now with this coronavirus and any virus, Andrew Saul is the reference I recommend for that, SAUL, is that injecting vitamin C really can not only help with cancers, but can get rid of most chronic diseases, including these viruses, crazy viruses. So just IV vitamin C is something really simple, and my naturopath had done that for me back in February, because I think I had the coronavirus. I was really sick for a month. I think I had it. So it was just like a bad cold. So Jody says food sensitivities, give the body the right nutrition. Yes, that's important. Thank you. If I've forgotten anything, please include it here. Remember, we're a team. Anyone from Southern New Brunswick, Denise, so you can connect with the Informed New Brunswick, Informed Consent New Brunswick group, or connect with me. Jody, good job. Thanks, Jody. Okay, good. Okay, so now I think we're ready for the Lord's Prayer. So again, the reason why we're praying, again, is to connect to a higher power. And that way it pulls us out of our fears and our resentments and our emotion of what's happening right now in our life. And just to know that we're held, in this loving space, will give you the power, right? I like to think this. Actually, it was John DeMartini that said this, that God is the power, and the vision, and we're the team. So you need a greater vision in order to move out of yourself to change this paradigm that we've been locked down into, pardon the pun. So what do you suggest for radiation poisoning? Yes, so thank you, Glenna, for mentioning that. So some of the cases of actually coronavirus is 5G radiation poisoning, because it creates a problem with oxygen binding to hemoglobin, so it gives you respiratory symptoms. That's why some of the x-rays for what they call corona are actually clear. It's not like a pneumonia. So radiation poisoning, again, it would be just to remove yourself from the radiation. There's some great websites. You can connect with me, because I don't have them on the top of my head, that help protect. But go back to cord technology, right? When I had my house, I went back to cords instead of using the Wi-Fi. Get your smart meter removed from your house. Go back to your original meter. This is normal for you. You didn't have to upgrade. They tricked you into thinking you had to upgrade. They said it was mandatory. They wanted to shut off my water when I didn't upgrade. You don't have to do that. So you can have at least your space at home. Try to keep it radiation free. And your body has the ability to heal itself once you remove the obstacles. So just removing yourself from the radiation, having a good diet, organic foods, filtering your water, putting good nutrition back into your body really helps detoxify. So if you want more information on that, again, connect with me. God bless you and your work. Thank you, Alexandra. Molecular hydrogen for almost 2 years. Okay, good. Damage from radiation. Thank you for that, Arlene. So somebody was asking about radiation. You can connect with Arlene, perhaps. EMF coverage. You can get covers for your smart meter. Yes, you definitely can. And even your computer. So what I have underneath my computer is a defender pad, just something to protect the radiation from my genital area when it's on my lap. So, and tourmaline necklaces and bracelets and all sorts of different things. In fact, I did a YouTube video. If you go on YouTube, I did a video on that, on 5G radiation and different things. And I used my meter, and I was like Columbo going around the house measuring different EMF frequencies. So my YouTube channel, you'll find another video on that. So I won't go into it in any detail. Also, my blog has an article on 5G and connections and products and everything. And that would be healthtruth.blog. Go to the search engine and just type in 5G. So now we're ready for the Lord's Prayer. Okay, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Again, I just want to give credit to Kate Shermani, because she was the one who inspired me to do this, because she's doing it on her videos. We'll do it once more, maybe. Simone, hydrometer, also radioactive, yeah, water and power. So if you're in Nova Scotia, you can connect with your power, Halifax Water, Nova Scotia Power. I did, said, opt me out, don't want to be a part of the smart meter program, thank you. Tourmaline on the beach the other day. Also purchased EMF units. Thank you, Artie, on the internet. So yeah, and if you have information that's going to be helpful for other people or links, feel free to post them. I just love sharing information. Again, we're a team. Lord's Prayer once more, and then we're finished. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So I just want to thank you for being here. I invite you to reach for the stars. Envision and achieve your personal best. And most of all, try to enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina Churchill signing out. Namaste.